Let me ask you something. Where is your mind right now? And I don't mean philosophically, I mean literally, where is it? If you're like most people, you probably just pointed to your head, your brain, that 3-pound lump of gray matter sitting between your ears. That's where your mind is, right? That's where thoughts happen, where consciousness lives, where you exist. Except what if I told you that's completely wrong? What if I told you that your mind, your actual consciousness, isn't in your brain at all? Stay with me here because when researcher Valerie Hunt made a discovery that should have rewritten neuroscience textbooks, she found something stunning. She was measuring the human energy field, the electromagnetic field that surrounds your body, and she noticed something impossible. The energy field was responding to stimuli before the brain registered it, not after. Before the field knew, before the brain knew. And then she said something that changed everything for me. She said, like, the mind's not in the brain. It's in that darn field. Let that sink in for a second. Your mind isn't in your skull. It's in the energy field that surrounds you, penetrates you, extends beyond you. Which means every thought you've ever had, every emotion you've ever felt, every decision you've ever made, it's all happening in a space that's bigger than your physical body. And here's where it gets interesting. If your mind is in the field and that field responds before your brain does, then who's really in control? Your conscious thoughts or something deeper, something most of us never learn to access? But here's the kicker. This isn't just some woo-woo spiritual concept. This is backed by research, by scientists, by people who measured it, tested it, proved it. And once you understand this, once you really get where your mind actually is, everything changes. How you heal, how you manifest, how you create your reality, all of it. Ready to go deeper? Because what I'm about to show you will completely shift how you see yourself, your body, and what's actually possible. Here's the thing. You've been told that manifestation works through visualization, right? Picture what you want. Feel the feeling. Believe it's already yours. And maybe you tried it. Maybe you did the vision boards, the affirmations, the meditations. You visualized every single day and nothing. Or worse, something small happened, just enough to keep you hooked, but not the big stuff, not the life-changing stuff. And you started wondering, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't this work for me when it seems to work for everyone else? Let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with you. The problem isn't you. The problem is that almost nobody, not the gurus, not the teachers, not the books, actually explains the mechanism. They tell you what to do, but they don't tell you why it works. Or more importantly, at what level it works. Because here's what nobody talks about. Your body, this physical form you're walking around in, isn't actually the densest part of you. It's not the foundation, it's the end result. Your body is a manifestation, a printout, a holographic projection from something deeper, something most people can't see, but is absolutely real, and that something is your energy field. Now, I know what you're thinking. Energy field? That sounds pretty out there, but bear with me because this is where science and spirituality meet in the most profound way. Your physical body is embedded and immersed in an energy field. And this field isn't just some vague aura floating around you. It's structured. It has layers. It has patterns. It functions as a holographic blueprint, a template from which your physical body is continuously being formed. Think of it like this. Your body is the shadow. The energy field is the object casting the shadow. And if you want to change the shadow, you don't try to manipulate the shadow itself. You change the object. Most people, most treatments, most therapies, most manifestation techniques, they're working at the shadow level, the physical level, trying to push and force and manipulate the manifestation. But here's the radical shift. If you want real lasting change, if you want healing that doesn't just temporarily fix symptoms, but actually transforms the root cause, you have to work at the level of the field. You have to change the hologram itself. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Disease, physical illness, doesn't actually start in your body. It starts in the field weeks, sometimes months before you feel the first symptom. You've been imaging it, programming it, building it in your energy field without even knowing it. Which brings us to the question you're probably asking right now. If that's true, if disease starts in the field, then why didn't anyone tell me this? And more importantly, how do I work with this? Let's dive in because understanding this changes everything. About healing, about manifestation, about what it means to be human. So here's what nobody tells you about disease. By the time you feel pain, by the time you get a diagnosis, by the time something shows up on a scan, it's already been there for weeks, months, sometimes longer. Not in your body and your energy field. Let me explain this because it's critical. Researcher William Tiller, physicist at Stanford, someone who spent decades studying the intersection of consciousness and matter, he discovered something profound. He found that the human energy field operates as a holographic blueprint, a template, and your physical body is constantly being regenerated, reformed, restructured based on that template. Your body isn't static. You know this. Your cells are turning over constantly. Skin cells every few weeks, red blood cells every few months, even bone, solid, hard bone completely regenerates every 7 years. So if your body is constantly rebuilding itself, the question is, what's it building from? The blueprint, the field. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. If there's a distortion in the blueprint, if there's a pattern of disease being held in the energy field, then every time your body regenerates, it's rebuilding that disease. You can treat the physical symptoms all you want, surgery, medication, radiation, but if the hologram, the energetic pattern isn't changed at its source, the disease comes back because you're treating the printout, not the file. Tiller found that illness, physical diagnosable illness, originates at the level of the energy field and then manifests downward into the physical body through what he called the ratchet effect. Think of it like a cascade. Information flows from the more subtle levels to the more dense levels, from thought to emotion, to etheric energy to physical matter. And once that cascade starts, once a pattern is set in motion at the higher levels, it locks into place at each level as it descends like a ratchet clicking into position. Each click brings it closer to physical manifestation. That's why by the time you feel the symptom, the pattern is already deeply entrenched. It's not just in your body, it's been patterned into multiple layers of your being. Now here's the thing, if disease can travel from the subtle to the physical, healing can travel the same path. And this is the part that most healing modalities miss. Healing from the physical level up is inefficient. It's slow, it's often temporary because you're trying to reverse the ratchet from the bottom. You're pushing against the flow. Real healing, lasting healing happens when you alter the pattern at the level where it originated, at the mental level, at the level of consciousness and thought. Dr. Richard Gerber, who wrote extensively on vibrational medicine, studied this layered structure of the human energy field, and he found that there are distinct levels, each one subordinate to the one above it. At the densest level, you have the etheric body, the energetic template that sits just above the physical. Above that, the astral or emotional body, and above that, the mental body. Each one functions as a template for the one below it. The mental templates, the astral templates, the etheric templates, the physical. And here's the key insight. Gerber said, quote, healing a person at the mental level is stronger and produces longer-lasting results than healing from either the astral or etheric levels. Read that again. Healing at the mental level produces longer-lasting results because when you heal at the level of thought, when you change the pattern at the source, that change cascades down through every layer below it. The mental templates, the emotional templates, the energetic templates, the physical. You're not forcing change from the bottom up. You're allowing it to flow naturally from the top down. This is why visualization works when it works. This is why mental imagery, when done with enough emotional power and repetition, can alter physical reality because you're working at the level of the blueprint. You're reprogramming the hologram. But here's the critical part. Most people don't know this. They're visualizing, yes, they're thinking positive, yes, but they're doing it sporadically, without emotional intensity, without understanding the mechanism. They're broadcasting a signal, but it's weak, it's inconsistent. It doesn't have enough power to overcome the existing pattern. So the question becomes, how do you generate enough power at the mental level to actually shift the blueprint? That's what we're going to explore next, because once you understand this, everything you thought about mind-body healing changes. Are you ready? Let's go deeper. All right. So we know that healing at the mental level is more powerful, but what does that actually mean? How do you heal at the mental level? Let me break this down because this is where most people get lost. First, you have to understand that your thoughts aren't just floating around in some abstract mental space. Your thoughts have structure, they have patterns, they have energetic signatures. And when you think a thought, especially an emotionally charged thought, you're not just having an internal experience. You're creating a pattern in the mental level of your energy field. Now, here's where the ratchet effect comes in. That thought pattern at the mental level starts to influence the astral level below it, the emotional body. And if the thought is repeated, if it's reinforced with emotion, it begins to create a corresponding pattern at the astral level. That pattern at the astral level then influences the etheric level, the energetic template that sits right above your physical body. And finally, that etheric pattern influences the physical body itself. Thought, emotion, energy, matter. It's a cascade, a flow from the subtle to the dense. Tiller called this the ratchet effect because each level, once influenced, tends to hold that pattern. It clicks into place, and the pattern becomes more and more fixed as it descends through the levels. This is why a chronic illness is so hard to heal from the physical level alone, because the pattern isn't just in your body, it's embedded in multiple layers of your being. You can take all the medicine in the world, but if the pattern at the mental level, the thought forms, the beliefs, the internal images isn't changed, the body will keep rebuilding the disease. It's like trying to fix a bug in a printed document by whiting it out on the page. Sure, it looks better, but the next time you print from that file, the bug is back. You have to fix the file, the source code. Now, here's what's fascinating. Tiller found that when you heal at the mental level, when you consciously change the thought patterns, the internal imagery, the beliefs, that change propagates down through the other levels. The mental shift influences the astral shift influences the etheric shift influences the physical. And because you're working from the top down, because you're altering the blueprint at its source, the change is more stable, more lasting. It's not temporary symptom relief, it's structural transformation. But, and this is crucial, not all thoughts have equal power. A casual thought, a fleeting image, a momentary affirmation. Those don't have enough energetic force to override an existing pattern. What has power are emotionally charged thoughts. Thoughts that are repeated consistently. Thoughts that are held with focus, intensity, belief. Think about it. When you're in a state of crisis, when you're terrified or grieving, or in physical pain, your thoughts have incredible power because they're backed by intense emotion. That's why trauma can create such deep energetic imprints. It's not just that something bad happened, it's that in the moment of trauma, you were in a heightened emotional state. And whatever thoughts you had in that moment, whatever meaning you made of the event got encoded into your energy field with extraordinary intensity. Those thoughts became patterns. And those patterns started the ratchet effect. But here's the flip side. If negative thoughts backed by emotion can create disease, then positive thoughts backed by emotion can create healing. And not just healing, creation, manifestation, reality shaping. Because here's what quantum physics is starting to reveal. Reality isn't something you discover, it's something, but the mind itself, it's non-local, it's in the field. Now this lines up with something else that neuroscience has been struggling to explain for decades. In the 1980s, researcher Benjamin Libet did an experiment that rocked the foundations of free will. He asked people to make a simple decision. Lift your finger whenever you feel like it. Completely spontaneous, your choice, and he measured brain activity while they did this. What he found was unsettling. The brain showed activity, a preparatory signal called the readiness potential, about 0.35 seconds before the person consciously decided to lift their finger. Read that again. The brain was preparing to act before the person was consciously aware of making the decision. Other researchers, Libet and Feinstein, dug deeper. They found that the brain registers a stimulus in about 0.001 seconds. That's fast, almost instantaneous. But conscious awareness of that stimulus, that takes nearly half a second, 0.5 seconds. Think about what that means. There's a gap, a half-second delay between when your brain processes something and when you become consciously aware of it. Your unconscious mind is deciding, your unconscious mind is acting, and then half a second later, your conscious mind catches up and thinks it made the decision. So, who's really in control? Not your conscious thoughts, not the voice in your head that thinks it's running the show. It's the deeper mind, the part of you that exists in the field, the part that responds before your brain even knows what's happening. Now combine this with what Hunt discovered. The field responds before the brain. The unconscious decides before the conscious. What you're looking at is a complete reversal of how we've been taught to think about consciousness. We've been told brain generates mind. Neurons firing create consciousness. It's all mechanical, all material. But the data suggests something completely different. Mind exists in the field. The brain is just the interface. Consciousness isn't produced by the brain, it's filtered through the brain. And here's why this matters for you, for healing, for manifestation, for living. If your mind is in the field and your unconscious is making decisions before your conscious mind even knows it, then the key to transformation isn't willpower. It's not conscious effort. It's alignment. It's coherence. It's programming the deeper levels of your consciousness, the part that exists in the field with the patterns you actually want, because that's the part that's creating your reality, not your surface thoughts. The deeper mind, the part of you that exists in the quantum field, the part that's interfacing with possibility, the part that's collapsing the wave function. And here's the stunning part. When you're in a heightened emotional state, crisis, transformation, profound joy, deep meditation, your thoughts have extraordinary power to imprint into the field. That's why emotionally charged thoughts can manifest as synchronicities, as coincidences, as reality shifts. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's the field responding to the pattern you're broadcasting. You're not discovering reality, you're participating in its creation. And this brings us back to the holographic universe, to the idea that each of us is a universe in miniature. Because if the universe itself began as a subtle energy field, as a divine pattern or idea, as Tiller suggests, and that pattern influenced increasingly dense levels until it coalesced into physical matter, then you're doing the same thing every day with every thought, every emotion, every focus of attention. You're creating a pattern at the mental level. That pattern influences the emotional. The emotional influences the energetic. The energetic influences the physical. You are quite literally a universe in miniature, a holographic fractal of the creative process itself. As above, so below. As within, so without. And once you understand this, once you really get it, the question becomes, what reality are you creating? So let's get practical, because understanding the mechanism is one thing. Working with it is another. If your mind is in the field, if thoughts at the mental level can cascade down to create physical reality, then mental imagery isn't just some nice visualization practice. It's a technology, a tool, a way of directly programming the holographic blueprint. And here's the thing. People have been doing this, whether they know it or not, for as long as humans have existed. But most people do it unconsciously. And usually they're programming the wrong thing. You're ready to keep going. I'll see you in the next one. Where is your mind now? You know it's not in your brain. It's in the field. It's in the space where thought becomes matter, where consciousness creates reality. And you, my friend, are far more powerful than you've been taught to believe. See you next time.